morning. Do not imagine that I have come to abolish the law and the prophets. No, I have come not to abolish them, but to complete them, to bring them to completion. We're into the Matthew's account of the Sermon on the Mount these days. And the text today is what you just heard me announce at the beginning. And the Sermon on the Mount is, Matthew has Jesus depicted as the new Moses. He goes up the mountain to give his people his code for life. And just as we had in the Old Testament, Moses went up the Mount Sinai, and God gave the people through him his code of life. But remembering it was to a people who were lost in a serpent and scorpion-ridden and waterless wasteland. And they'd just come out of generations of slavery. And so what God gave them for their life was according to their needs and how they were at the time. And he gave them 10 commandments. And so Jesus, in today's text, the Sermon on the Mount, some 1200 years later, addresses the Jewish people who are now established in their land, now have social and religious systems in function. Their system is different. And so instead of saying to them, you must honour your father and your mother, or you must not kill or steal, he says, happy are those who make peace. Happy are those who hunger and thirst for justice. It is totally different. And then in today's text he says, don't imagine that I have come to abolish the law and the prophets, the code of life that was given first of all to the people in the desert, post-slavery, or was given to the Jews in their established situation in Israel. And here he presents a different code, a new code. Because he says all of these 10 commandments and now 613 rules to be a good Jew, they are all summed up in what is the greatest commandment. And that is, love your God with all your heart, your soul, and all your strength, and love your neighbour as yourself. And that recurs through the gospel. Just as the Father has loved me, so I love you. Remain in my love, says Jesus. Yeah. Or love one another as I have loved you. No greater love has anyone than to give his life for his neighbour. And so on. And there are a whole series of texts where Jesus presents love as a new code of life. And it's the code of life that summarises the whole story of the 10 Commandments, the 600, and what we're going to hear over the next few weeks, the Sermon on the Mount. A code of life for his people. And it's for us today. That's why Leo, in his encyclical, Magnificent Humanity, refers to the civilisation of love. Now, he's not talking about flower power from the 1960s. He's talking about a civilisation of care, of respect, of sharing, of brotherhood and sisterhood. He's referring to that. And how beautiful it would be if we had love rather than domestic violence, rather than street violence, or rather than the inane violence between nations, where the main motivation seems to be revenge. And Jesus will have more to say about that further on in the Sermon on the Mount. So that's what I invite you just to reflect about the need we have for real, decent love, and how that would replace the violence and the hatred and the lies and so on that pervade so much of our society today. And maybe go a little further. Maybe you could pray. Pray that we have something of a civilization of love in our world, today and tomorrow and always. It's a new and a far better code of life. God bless you and have a good week.